Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense. No, none taken.
That is right, none taken. I am the Movie Moron. This is the Movie Moron podcast, and I am your host, Easton Moore.
What's up with this fool? What is he, sandwich crazy?
Yes, I am. And then with me right here is our lovely all-time guest, and Tristen.
Would you believe I knocked him out with my charm?
You need that charming.
I cut it off. I felt a little rude to keep it in. But yeah, and then to the right is Brandon, who's been on a few episodes so far. But yes, Brandon.
Damn wrong, man, he like them apples.
Show off!
I'll take it.
And then our co-host, practical co-host, Trevor himself.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or I'm just playing. You better hide that big-ass forehead.
It's supposed to be the best one-liner in all of Fast and Furious, so I had to throw it in there somewhere.
It's definitely up there. It's a good one.
And it's an ad-libbed line by The Rock.
Really?
Yep. I don't think he was supposed to say anything, and he threw it back, and Ronan was very surprised.
Your forehead's great proportion.
No,
Trevor.
I know it's big.
It looks great on you. You can wear that forehead
Stop.
wonderfully.
Stop. Let's get into it.
So if you couldn't tell, this is a Fast and Furious themed episode. We have our Fast and Furious X cup from the movie theater. Whoop, whoop. Also our 10 from Fast and Furious 9.
Whoop, whoop. Oh yeah.
Is it 9? I can't.
That's 9.
Okay. So obviously we're Fast and Furious decked out. And
poster.
a poster.
And the poster.
Yeah. All of that mainly thanks to Tristen because she's in love with this franchise. Even though it took a very long, I will never let it down. Took forever for her to finally watch this.
That's true.
I had to really dig to get her to watch the first few, and then
I found true love.
Yep, she fell in love. She became a part of the family. Okay.
Part of La Familia.
And as you can see, we've got a guest, Brandon. He's already been on a few times. He was on Glass Onion. I'm not going to say the long version of that, but Glass Onion, Knives Out story by Ryan Johnson.
I'm not going to say
the
the full
second
title,
part
but
of
Yeah.
But here, I'm going to say the full title.
the second part of the 3 parts that Netflix bought. I think all that was in the title. And so he's already said his favorites, least favorites, and some directors that he likes. So how about just a movie that you really loved that you've watched this last year that maybe you recommend to the audience?
A movie that I've really loved this year that everyone should go watch, it's on Hulu, is Rye Lane. If you haven't seen Rye
Have
Lane,
not.
it is fantastic. It is a London set romantic comedy that is absolutely stellar.
Okay.
It's a tiny little movie. It's hilarious.
We love rom-coms.
We love rom-coms
Super
and-
charming, really visually inventive. It's very, very good.
And it's on Hulu, so it's
Yes.
really easy to watch.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Everyone, go watch Rye Lane.
Sweet. Did that come out this year?
Came out this year.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, we are going into Fast X. And
Very different than Rye Lane.
yes, very different than most movies that
Which makes it
we
wonderful.
review. So we can go through and just talk general thoughts without spoiling anything for the people that have not gone to the theater yet to watch this one, which apparently isn't a lot of people because it made $325 million. So decent
Better
opening.
enjoy that, Vin Diesel.
People are finding this one
Yes.
for sure.
But when you say your general thoughts, how about you just kind of say your general, like just say whether you've been on the positive side of Fast and Furious or on the negative side, because it seems to have a very polar crowd. There are people that think Fast and Furious are the dumbest movies in the world.
Yeah,
It
my
has a lot of-
dad.
and there's
which is so weird.
a lot of people that
Dumb.
like it. So just kind of say where you are on that spectrum, if it's kind of in the middle or towards the like or towards the dislike, so they kind of know how you're going into the movie, and then your general thoughts. So we're going down the line. Trevor.
Cool. No, these movies are bad, but I love them. They're the kind of the reasons Tristen likes them, this sense of community, and it's just, and I think you said in a tweet, Easton, that these movies just follow the rule of cool, and if it's cool to look at and it's neat, like, who cares? And they even kind of talk about that in this movie, which I thought was a fun little one-off line. But yeah, so no, I'm on the Fast and Furious train. General thoughts. I had fun with it. I didn't realize. Can we say about the ending?
No, I
Okay.
would
Okay.
leave it. I know that it's kind of up for public. Like they've talked about kind of the stuff that they're doing in the future.
Yeah.
But we can stay away for the people that
Sure,
don't.
sure. Well, I didn't see it coming. Is all I was gonna
I
say.
didn't know either.
I didn't either.
I was the only one that
I think it's two.
I was actually the only one that
knew.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I mean, it's just everybody being their stereotypical Fast and Furious selves. I mean, it's not a lot of, but it's Vin Diesel being like, "No, Letty, you stay here," and she's like, "No, I'm gonna go because I'm Letty," and then
we're family.
Yeah,
never
basically.
really explaining what anyone's going to do when they go.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, I have to go. And
Yeah,
then
just we need to be
yeah.
Rome. Okay, great. Well,
and
we're in Rome.
I'll weigh the team down.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I thought the car chases were pretty good. This movie goes by really fast. I don't know if there's any car chases that really stood out to me necessarily. But no, overall, I mean, I had a good time with it.
It's just over 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's almost 2.5 hours, but that's with credits, so you knock about 10 to 15 minutes off of that. So it's just over 2 hours, and it does fly. I do feel like it had a good pace to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the?
Yeah, I think that's it. There's not a lot to this. And it's a lot of Jason Momoa is great in this. I really, really dug him.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think we have seen him play a maniacal villain.
I thought he did so good
yeah,
as it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm saying we
That was a
haven't.
bad sentence, but
Yeah. No, I think for being an added, it was nice in the beginning. We get a flashback to one of the previous movies where Paul Walker is still alive. Which, I mean, of course, they're going to have that if this is supposed to be a everybody's coming in for this one kind of thing.
Did anybody see those articles or those YouTube videos that were like Paul Walker returning for Fast X or something? I started looking into it after when I started Googling after we saw the movie yesterday, and there were a bunch of articles that they're gonna bring back Paul Walker somehow for Fast X, which is so misleading.
Yeah.
for what
Yeah.
actually happens.
Yeah.
It
and
is-
I kind of thought that they might try to do some digital.
I'm not writing it off just yet.
Yes,
that they
no.
won't-
Yeah.
that they won't try to bring him
Me
character back.
Me either.
Yeah.
It seemed like maybe they used some B-roll for this movie from whenever
They basically just straight used
like
a
actual
previous
scenes.
a previous movie's whole entire. They sped up a previous movie's.
Was it 4?
5.
It was 5. Okay.
Yeah, they sped up a huge scene in that. They just sped it all the way up and just they use it as their opening crawl, basically.
Yeah,
I
basically.
mean, it works.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry. Back to Jason Momoa for being kind of interjected into that part. And then there's another new guy in this, Angel, I think is his name, or Ansel. The agency,
Yeah,
the new agency guy.
guy.
I wasn't super impressed with him. He just kind of fit into the mold of we're all V-shaped dudes.
Yeah.
You
You got to have another big beefy guy.
Yeah. But I think of the two new additions, I think Jason Momoa really took the cake for it.
Fast and Furious has always been a very pro PED movie, so
I don't even know
steroids.
what that. Oh,
Get as
we
many
don't have to
people
talk
in there.
about it.
Yeah.
Hey, but it works.
It works.
I don't.
I think they're taking steroids. Well, let me tell you.
No, I
Okay.
was gonna say I don't condone the
use of
steroids, but it pays off sometimes.
I mean, as long as you're, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're not riding a bike in the Tour de France, I don't
Yeah.
really care.
That's true.
Really care.
It's yeah. I do wish people were more open about because people think they
Yeah.
can just
Sure,
naturally be
sure.
the Rock
Yeah.
at 48 years old. Hate to break it to you,
Yeah.
Jimmy, but yeah, Brandon, what were your general thoughts on this installment?
Yeah, so to start with, my relationship to the Fast and Furious franchise, I love these movies. I think that they are the rule of cool is a great way to put it. These movies are the epitome of confidence is key because they are constantly doing things that do not hold up to scrutiny, that make no logical sense, just completely rewriting the relationships that characters have to each other in like a moment's notice all the time. But they do it with so much confidence, and they do it so frequently that you feel silly for
questioning it.
Yeah. The movies really are critic proof. I mean, at this point, they own what they are in such a special way, such a unique way that, I mean, any criticism is like shooting darts at a tank. Like it's just it's nothing. Like the logic and reason are not why people like them, and they're also not the reasons why people are going to stop liking them. Yeah. So dwelling on things that don't make a whole lot of sense, while it's fun, it kind of doesn't matter much for these particular movies. But as far as the this specific movie, I was a little disappointed relative to how much I just loved how bug nuts insane F9 got.
Yeah.
And yeah, this movie's wild. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
This is not a normal action movie by any stretch, but there was a plateau of crazy that F9 hit that I really thought we were going to get to in Fast X, and we didn't quite get there for me.
Are you disappointed or?
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I would say that, like, walking away from the movie, I didn't have a bad time. I definitely had a great time. We were in a packed theater. Everybody, was way into it. But I don't know. Another gripe that I have with like the last couple in the series is that they are continuously introducing people, and then they think on the strength of how much Dominic Toretto likes these people that we are naturally going to just love them. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that's introducing new characters is not a bad thing. It's just there will be like revelations with those characters that they treat as though they're like knocking our socks off. Like there's one in this movie with a character that was just introduced in this film. There's a twist related to him, and when it happens, they give it so much weight. And in the moment I was like, I don't know or care about this guy at all.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. But it's part of the fun, and it's great. As far as the action set pieces, the reason we're all here, this was one where I think the best action set pieces aren't involving cars. In this particular one, I thought that first fight with Charlize Theron, where they get into the elevator and she has that like magic remote that turns off guns and stuff.
Which is funny because you say first fight, but that's like an hour and a half into the movie.
Yeah.
Oh no! I'm talking about when we first meet Jason Momoa, like when he comes out of the elevator, and I don't want to get into spoilers.
I get
but
what you're saying.
Yeah. When we're so that fight I thought was fantastic. There's another one with Jordana Brewster and John Cena that's just like a big fist fight and shootout in a house that was terrific. There are a couple of car chases that I thought were fantastic, but yeah. This was a good time. I've just got lots of thoughts I'm excited to get into.
This one definitely decided to. It does continue the insanity in the car realm. Yeah. The actions are a little bit more grounded. Like they're ridiculous, but they're a little bit more grounded. It's when you get to the car chase stuff, specifically Dom, that it decides to go to a whole new level of.
Vin Diesel is the biggest narcissist on the face of the planet. I am convinced after watching these movies.
You didn't take my car.
I always wonder, like, I like to think about how much his public image is so tethered to like cars, and with the XXX movies, extreme sports and all this sort of stuff. And I wonder if he knows anything about cars. Like, I don't.
That would be really funny.
Wouldn't it be? Like,
Yes.
I don't know anything about cars, but that's also not like a major part of my identity. You know what I mean?
You haven't made, somewhere around $300 million, $400 million off of car movies?
Yeah. I haven't. That's true. Was
okay.
that was a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The answer is no. No, I have not made hundreds of millions of dollars from car movies.
Sorry. That's kind of interesting just bringing that up. These are like Justin Lin's movies, right? The Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I wonder if the car thing is more connected to him
Well, see,
because I was curious if maybe Vin Diesel had a writing credit, which he doesn't. But
I mean, I think regardless of whether or not he has a writing credit, I think he's like the gatekeeper.
He's a producer.
Franchise.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
And I'm sure he's been a producer since the start.
Well,
And
yeah.
so-
This is the only thing he's in anymore is Fast and
He
Furious.
was in Bloodshot, excuse me.
And Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh.
Come on.
he's Groot. Yeah.
And The Last Witch Hunter. I refuse
And The
to let
Last
anyone
Witch Hunter.
forget The Last Witch Hunter.
Is that like this is a hidden gem, or like this is awful?
No, it's just awful.
Okay.
But I was being facetious. But so Justin Lin came on with Fast and Furious 3, I think. He came on with Tokyo Drift. He directed from Tokyo Drift to the 6th one, and then he left to make Star Trek 3. And then he came back to make F9, and then fun fact, I'm so curious to find out why this is. He quit Fast X like 2 weeks into production.
I feel like I remember
Drama.
that.
So
Justin Lin didn't. Yeah, he didn't direct this one.
No, he didn't direct this one.
Yeah.
No, he started, and then a couple weeks into production, he quit, and then they hired a journeyman. I'm not sure what his name is.
It is a little interesting that Justin Lin doesn't have the best Fast and Furious movie. This was Louis Leterrier.
Oh,
Who's the director
okay.
of this
Well,
one.
he's made a couple of decent.
Louis
couple of decent
Leterrier,
things.
who has also done the 2008 Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Well, he also did The Transporter, which is a very extremely popular one. Now You See Me. Unleashed is really good.
Is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a really good action movie. I watched that when I was a kid quite often.
Brothers Grimsby is a movie that I have a soft spot for because it's like the ignored child of his sort of film family. That movie is genuinely funny.
Okay, you said that this movie was like critic proof.
I think so.
Yeah, no, I actually agree, but I did want to ask, do you guys want to guess which movie is actually certified fresh out of the franchise? There's only one.
Ooh, 5.
There's only one
I
certified.
actually know this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the 5th one, correct?
It's
Really?
that one's fresh, but it's not certified fresh.
Oh.
I mean, I can.
What's the
re-look.
difference between fresh and is certified like above the 90th percentile?
It's above the 80th percentile.
Oh, it's got to be the 7th
no, Fast
one.
5. Okay, I guess it is certified fresh. It's 78, but the highest rated one critically is 81, which is Furious 7.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
Which-
trying to remember all the names of the movies
That one
the other day.
it does make sense.
That one's probably my favorite.
That's also my favorite, and that's also the Paul Walker tribute
Yeah.
movie, and I think that's why they knocked it so well out of the park. Was 'cause of
That's
that, but-
another thing about this franchise that has always kind of bugged me. I feel like as I'm talking more about it, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with these movies, but I genuinely do love them. This is a franchise that, and going back to the Vin Diesel as a narcissist conversation, the movies only ever dwell on Vin Diesel's relationship with Paul Walker. Like one of the characters is married to
Yeah,
him.
no, that's true.
And they are only ever concerned with like how Vin Diesel is dealing with the separation of him and Brian O'Connor, former FBI agent Brian O'Connor.
I do think that in 7 or I think it was 7 or 8. I thought they did a good job with the wife dynamic.
Sure.
But as a whole, 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, or
I don't.
wanna-
I was gonna say I've been dragging general thoughts a lot.
Oh no, you're totally fine,
Jump over
Tristen.
to Tristen.
This is going to be just a
Yeah.
praise fest. So
Listen, Easton more. Okay, I have opinions too, you know.
Yeah.
I loved it, of course. And I love all of them, and every single one of them is the greatest thing in the world.
are they all 5 stars?
All of them 5 stars. Yep. Always. I can't deter from that.
Yeah, your relationship with Fast and Furious was my relationship with Star Wars until The Last Jedi.
Yeah. We'll see if they screw it up. If they ruin my life, we'll see. I'll let you know. Yeah, no, I really liked it. I liked the like kind of throwback to the older movies of the like street race booty shorts.
Yeah, there's a moment.
All
There
that,
is.
You like the booty shorts?
I liked the 2000s vibe they had going on.
Yeah, I
mean?
also I agree. When I saw that scene, I also appreciated it because it does feel like they tend to move away from that quite often.
Yeah.
And I think it is.
It felt like back to their roots.
Yeah, it feels like back to the roots. It's something that they do really well. However, I think the reason why they don't do it is because it's become more of an action movie. It's hard to really get that underground feel. But also, that's also just not really a cultural thing. I think when these movies came out, that street racing was more of a popular. It was kind of dying out, but it was still a thing. Street racing really. It really died. So
DVD players were also more popular.
Yes. To be fair, they did move up to gasoline by the fourth movie, which is still something you could steal and make a lot of money off of.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Even though you got really uncomfortable, you looked at me during that scene.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't remember what was going through my head, but.
Well, I think it was just there was a lot of boobs, a lot of booty, a lot of tits, a lot of skin, a lot of gyrating.
Like the biggest I've ever seen in my life on the whole.
There was a lot of gyrating, man. Exactly what they teach you not to
Dolby.
do in the
It felt-
Baptist schools. They were doing, man.
Was that a celebrity that waves the flag?
Oh my gosh, you guys!
I was gonna ask who does anybody know who that was?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
who
well,
that was.
you
No,
led that to me.
I thought of something else. I'm sorry.
I thought you were about to be like, I know this. No. But no, you just looked over at me like you were like I didn't think you thought it was cool, but you were like, there's a lot of
no, I did.
skimpy women
Listen
right
to me.
now.
I did really appreciate it, but it went on for a very long time. I think that's what
It did.
Yeah.
I was like, is this gonna end soon?
Yeah.
That's what that was.
In the scene actually has a good payoff with race as well. Racing as well. Which some of the movies have kind of done the big thing where you got the big crowd. I was looking at some earlier stuff today and like the Rio thing with Hobbs. There's a moment in Rio where he's got all the street racers and then Hobbs comes in, but there's no race. It's just
the Fast and Furious thing where every character shows up wherever they need to be.
and with a lot of guns.
They all know exactly where each other are at all times, but are somehow hunting each other.
So the person that dropped the flag was Brazilian singer-songwriter Ludmilla, who's best known for Fala Mal de Mim. But I mean the box office in Brazil probably.
Sure.
I mean,
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. The producers are smart.
Yeah.
They know this is a global franchise, and they try to rope in a world audience. That's smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are the thoughts there, Tristen?
I got so excited because I remembered that Josh Dunn and Debbie Ryan have a little. What's that called? A
Confrontation.
Cameo.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the airport.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, Easton, that's Josh Dunn and Debbie Ryan.
I don't even know who those people
Josh Dunn
are.
is the drummer from 21 Pilots, and Debbie Ryan was on Disney Channel, but they're married. Anyway, it was really fun, and I was like,
that sounds really fun, Tristen. I'm glad it was.
I was very excited. They're in Fast X. How cool is that? That's so cool. If I was famous, I would be like, get me in that movie.
So
Even if
my wife leaned over to me after that and said, "Was that Debbie Ryan?" Because you only see her face for just a moment.
Yeah,
for just a moment.
Enough to be like, wait, that was her. Yeah. I will say a critique, Easton.
You had to
I
dig
have
for this
opinions.
You're doing it.
You know. Lots of people are in lots of different places in this movie, and lots of big things are happening everywhere, and it's almost like too much for me. My highly sensitiveness. That's my.
And according to Trevor, too many blonde women. Hard to keep track of who's who.
I couldn't tell the difference between Charlize Theron and Brie Larson in this.
They have different faces.
Well, just because I saw all of these movies so long ago. Because Charlize Theron is the one that steals or kidnaps the baby, right?
Yeah.
Well, she had dreads in the eighth one, so you couldn't
That's
miss her
true.
in that one, I guess.
But
Or
it's
her
just,
hair changes throughout the movies.
and it's
too.
just the way that
She
they
had
were.
Bob in the last one.
It's just the way they were presented. Like, and I knew Brie Larson was in this, and so when he comes up the elevator, I was like, "That's not Brie Larson." But then, like later, she's the
was, like,
one
a
that looks for
scene-
Dom in the bar.
Yeah,
And then,
okay.
and then right after that, we see her talk to her in the jail, and then she's like, "Okay, I'll see you later." And then I thought they had captured her, and it was like, "Oh, well, we're just in this together. And then she knew like the access codes to the robot thing, and I was like, oh well, that would make sense if
I
she's
can't
like.
wait to talk about. She could have run the world from that little screen.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, well, she obviously like knows the place, but I don't know. Anyway, so and then she shows up in her blue pantsuit, which I'll tell you what though, she's rocking that blue pantsuit and those spiky shoes she's wearing,
dude.
Oh yeah, I laughed out loud when she scuffs that car. It was so funny.
Yeah,
But
I do
anyway.
have another. I have another little. I don't really like this thing, but it's not for right now. It's for spoils.
Okay. Is that the end of your?
I think so. I loved it.
Okay. I'm definitely on the boat of I very much enjoy to love them. There's a few of these movies that like I very much love. I grew up watching Fast and Furious movies. First one came out in either 99 or 2001.
It was 01.
Yeah. So I was 5 years old. So I mean, these were coming out as I was growing up. I watched these on I don't know, AMC, TMC, whatever random cable television, and I watched them all the time. And I loved even the bad ones, Too Fast and Too Furious and Tokyo Drift. And I even love 4. A lot of people hate that one. Like those 2, 3, and 4, a lot of people dislike. I liked them all. I do think that they're completely over the top crazy, but they are purposeful in that. They know that they're going to be, I think once they hit 5, they decided they were just going to be an over the top action blockbuster franchise. They leaned into it and they've done a good job with it. And I think,
And it paid off.
Yep.
and I think this is no different. I do think the writing in this one's a little bit more poor than some of the stuff we've gotten in the
Would
past.
agree.
Counter to, I mean, I don't want to blame Jason Momoa or not, but I did not like his character at all, and we can get into it.
Loved him.
But yeah, I did have a good time, but the first act is really slow and kind of rough. And then it does kind of gets its footing and and then it really starts picking up. And there's definitely a lot of Vin Diesel cheese. That
He also seems so old.
His eyes were not fully open for this entire movie. I'm convinced. Every shot of him, they were like half open.
Yeah.
he did bulk up a little bit from the last time I saw him off screen. In between 9 and 10, he had gained some pounds and lost some muscle.
He's a human.
And either they CGI'd it up or he got on that Hollywood workout program because he's looking pretty buff in this one. Yep. But yeah, there's a lot of characters, and it can be a lot to track. But I actually like almost all of the Vin Diesel characters in the all the family, quote unquote. And so I didn't mind it. I don't remember much of John Cena in the other ones, and he kind of has a semi-pivotal.
This is his second one.
Okay, so it's only been 2. Okay,
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
had to remember who he was.
Yeah,
when
he was
came up.
secret. He was secret brother that shows up 9 movies.
And I
Yes.
think he was in 9, right? In just the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like even his stuff, I thought was a lot of fun to do, and we still had our core 4 that's going all over the place, and then Vin Diesel's kind of by himself with Letty for a lot of this. But so there's a lot going on, but I think it does exactly what it sets out to be. It sets out to be just a crazy, fun action movie that completely suspends belief, and you're cool with it because you just know that's what it's going to be. You know the things that they're going to attempt are going to be crazy and stupid and unpractical and defy all physics, but it's fine because you know that you're in a movie world. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
And they even have that line half an hour in of these people defy gravity
Yes.
and the laws or something like that. I'm like, okay, well at least we're talking about it.
Was
now.
that in the sci-fi future room at the agency with all the floating screens?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I've had quite a few Twitter discussions over the last couple of weeks because a lot of people are trashing just the Fast and Furious franchise because it's just not for them. And a lot of it is just like, and I just respond with like, these movies know exactly what they if they were trying to pass as, Oscar movies, award-winning movies, and such, like, yeah, we would come in a different light, and we would probably dislike what they're doing because it doesn't.
Well, and Vin Diesel has worked with like Spielberg and Sidney Lumet and these fantastic filmmakers before he became big action star. So he has good taste. Like if he wanted to be doing that sort of thing, he would be doing it. Like these movies are, they aren't made by a bunch of rubes. They're they're people that know precisely what they're making.
Yeah, and that's another reason why every time they add a new character, not every time, but a lot of times when they add new characters, they're going for stars. Like they go get Brie Larson. They go and get John Cena. They go and get Jason Momoa.
Helen Mirren said she wanted to be in these movies.
Yeah.
Like people
Yeah.
know what they're getting into for sure.
And for that reason, I'm in. So
Helen Mirren's in, Easton's in.
there's one little like that necklace, that gaudy, ugly necklace changes hands so many
much.
times in this movie, and I'm not crazy, right? That necklace meant nothing like 3 movies ago, right? It was just the necklace he wore, and now every time somebody's holding it or is like,
It's traveled the world,
it's
Brandon.
traveled the world now, and somebody always holds it and says some like empty, vague platitude about family and.
Well, so I think he wore that necklace from the first movie.
Yeah, he's
And
always
so-
had it, but like
and
it
so-
never meant anything. Like, it was
I don't think it meant anything until he made it he gave it to Letty or whatever
Well,
as a
and
promise.
Jacob's got one too.
Okay.
And I
yes,
see,
yeah,
and that's
'cause
what,
it's a
that's what I
family.
mean. I want to say it was like Furious 7 or Fast and Furious 6 or somewhere in there where they just decided that necklace that had just been like a piece of jewelry meant something. And every time it shows up, I can't help but laugh because I'm like, it's just. One, it's just so ugly, but also it's just nonsense. Like it doesn't mean anything, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah. I from what I remember, I think he gives it to Letty as a proclamation of love or whatever, because it's the thing that he's had, nearest to his heart for however long.
Well, there's one moment in this movie when Letty and Dom, it's very early on. It's during that slow sort of first act you were talking about, where they're laying in bed, and he's talking about how he's talking about an interaction he had with his son that we didn't see, and then he says, I don't know how to tell my son that I'm afraid or something like that, and then she says, fear doesn't matter, and then she holds the necklace, and we get a close up of it, and she goes, this is what matters, the eternity of this moment, and
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
what does that even mean?
I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's just complete nonsense.
Sometimes
It's the best.
Sometimes
Your
you just
voice is
read some
awesome.
poetry and try to throw it in your movie.
Sure. And there are so many times during this movie where we haven't seen a character for a little bit, and then we'll linger on them for just a minute, and that's when I was like, all right, and they're about to talk about something they're afraid of, or something that something that's been bothering them, or something like that. But yeah, nobody has an arc in this movie. Nobody learns anything. Nobody nobody honestly. Okay, are we officially in we're getting into the details of the movie territory?
We're gonna hit spoilers after a recommendation, but you can if you can finish
the
some
only
last
only
thoughts.
thing I'll say, not spoiling anything, I don't think one thing of long-term consequence happens in this movie. I don't think, and that's not a criticism.
Sure.
It's just I don't think there is one thing that gets anyone any further than they were at the start of the movie. You know what I mean?
I think there's
You mean character development?
Not character. I mean in terms of literal events. I don't know that.
Well,
anything...
the only thing I'm thinking of is the bomb, because they blame it on the crew, and that's what puts Vin Diesel at the top of the list.
I guess
And
that's fair. That's fair.
But I mean, to be fair, also that kind of goes away later. But it's all. But it's secretly.
It always does.
Maybe it's a trick. Maybe it's not. And
I think there's maybe 2 to 3 characters that have some real character development, and the rest don't. Which we can get into.
Yeah.
I
I can think of one.
Somebody else was in this movie.
I was about to say, I almost want to rate this movie a 5 out of 5 no matter what, because it had, the greatest actor of our generation, Pete Davidson, in it. So
Of course,
it's
it
just
did. Absolutely.
He played such a good character too.
he just played himself.
God bless him.
I know, it's so
good. For him.
good.
Good for him.
I've been on the edge to watching Bupkis, but after seeing him in this, now I'm like,
Bupkis?
Oh, it's his new show on Peacock.
With Joe
With
Pesci,
Joe
right?
Pesci.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He,
Well, I love his two
if
movies.
anyone could get Joe Pesci out of retirement, it's Pete Davidson. American treasure Joe Pesci.
His two legit movies are two of my not favorites, but I very much enjoy them.
Yeah.
Big Time Adolescence and King of Staten Island.
Yeah, okay. I also thought Suicide Squad.
He's not in that.
He's not really in
He's
it.
in that
but
movie for 5 minutes.
You said two legit movies, and I was like, King of Staten Island and what else? But yeah, Big Time
I just meant
Adolescence was great.
he's the main actor.
Yeah,
I think
That's what I mean by legit. He's been in a lot of different properties. I just meant he's the lead in those two movies.
Yeah, I was also thinking Bodies.
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
He is a lead in that,
Uh-huh.
which
He's
I
very
don't
good.
love. That movie's all over the
about that
place,
movie.
I love
but
that
he's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Right on.
Yeah, he needs to be in more stuff. Let's just put it
Makes
that
me
way.
want to watch it again.
I don't know if I can deal with that lady.
He's the voice of Marmaduke in the Netflix Marmaduke movie that's coming out this year.
Really? That's so
That's
funny.
a real thing. I promise that exists.
That's so funny.
and
He's
we're
in
all.
the-
I'm assuming next time I'm on, that's what we're going to be covering. Is
Marmaduke.
the Netflix Marmaduke movie.
He's
Let me put this on my calendar.
Looks like it cost about $3.
Trevor, you got one thing before we head to spoilers?
he's in that Taco Bell breakfast commercial.
Oh, he is.
Oh my gosh!
He's in several Taco
He
Bell
as
breakfast commercials.
Peter Davidson.
The point is, he has a real filmography. We need to
Yes.
give him more credit than just
Yes.
yeah. The breakfast Taco Bell commercial.
He's also-
Marmaduke.
Dating one of the Kardashians still, maybe
No.
or maybe not.
Pete, get some better ladies.
He just laid some pipe on Kim Kardashian and
Oh my word.
dated. Hey, we tell it how it is in here, okay?
No, Easton tells it how it is, apparently.
Yeah. And dated Ariana Grande for a long time.
Kate Beckinsale at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Celebrities love him, and so
Wild.
do we. So recommendations.
You
Date
know?
us, Pete. No.
He might.
Yeah, and even if you haven't seen the other 9, I mean, if you're looking for a movie to just go see and have a good time with, this is
Sure.
fine. Yeah.
I do feel like if you watch this without any context, not like you would like you wouldn't be lost. That's not what I'm saying. I think you would be just lost in how absolutely absurd
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything is. You'd be like,
You'd be
how is this
confused.
okay in a movie?
Hey,
Yeah.
How are we allowing this in something that's like not like a B movie? Like they're
Yeah.
doing B movie action stuff in a $300 million production.
But also somebody who's coming into this this movie theoretically not having seen any of the others. I mean, I'm just picturing someone meeting all these characters that are being introduced in this movie and being given so much weight right off the bat. They're like, okay, well, they must have been in 5 movies prior to this, surely.
Nope, they had a 12-minute cameo in the 7th or 8th movie. Yeah. But to be fair, I think the Fast and Furious as a whole does a great job with their minor characters.
Yes.
I'll just put that out there. Okay.
To be fair, I was able to watch Fast and Furious out of context, and
Oh
I
my
got that pretty
gosh.
okay.
Tristan or Trevor had never seen any of them. We told him to watch them to I think do 9.
Yeah.
And he watched number 4 because they're the same
TBH.
title.
That's
They're the
because
same title.
The titles for these movies
Oh,
are
right.
unreal.
But do you know who can name all of them in order?
Okay, but I tried the other day and I messed up really bad.
No, it's the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious,
Yeah.
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5. It's just
Fast and Furious 6, Fast and
Fast
Furious 6, yeah.
Furious 7. No.
Yep.
Fast,
Oh, yeah.
Furious
Yep.
7, Fast and Furious 8.
No.
The Fate of the
no.
Furious.
Oh, the
Fate
Fate of the Furious.
How
Yeah, you're
dare
right.
you? Fate of the Furious.
And then Furious 9.
Fast 9.
F9.
F9.
F9 : the Fast Saga, if I'm not mistaken, which is
Never mind. I can do the
crazy.
first 7.
well.
Close.
I
So
can't do 8 and 9.
So Annie and I, for listeners, that's my wife. Ahead of ahead of Fast X. We absolutely adored F9, and we're like, we want to watch the 10th one right now. And when they hadn't announced the title for the 10th one yet, and we were like, if it's not FX, then I'm gonna lose my mind. But it was Fast X, close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the Jurassic Park Fast and Furious crossover. That's all I want.
Why
Dude,
not?
that would be dope.
Why
Vin
not?
Diesel wants to do it.
That would be dope.
At this point, why not?
Okay, Trevor, what's your? Do you recommend?
Oh, I did a while ago, and then
cool.
we got.
I know. I just wanted you to be able to finish your thought if you had it. So,
Yes, yeah.
Brandon, do you?
I would recommend.
Okay,
Yes.
Tristen.
For sure. 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm a little bit more hesitant than I think the rest of you guys, but I do still think it's a fun. Like at the end of the day, if you just know you're going in for an action movie that doesn't have any reality to it, then you'll have fun. So, okay, that's pretty much all recommendations.
Honestly,
That's the show.
I have
quite.
something else to say. Honestly, if I had not warmed up to the crazy of these movies, and I just like went and saw one of the last, I don't know, 4 or whatever. I would probably be like, I wouldn't think it was as good because I'd be so concerned with the other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like, but I do think this movie does a good job of leaning into, like, it physically tells you how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
With the defying logic, they even bring up, like, they stole a submarine.
Yeah.
Like, that's like they legit bring that up and talk about how
They went to
absolutely
space.
crazy that is.
We've gone from street racing to altering the course of world events.
Yeah.
They have nuclear missiles. Okay, they are a bunch of street racers that now have.
And they keep coming back to the same house. Like, surely they're being hunted by
Eating outside.
by a dozen different
Peace and
terrorist
quiet.
organizations.
I did think it is a little on brand that they live in California. They have this standard looking house, but they all have Ferraris and
Yeah.
$1.2 million cars. Because I'm like, that house is probably worth $6 million in California. So
Yeah. Especially that close to downtown. It's right over the hill.
yeah. So I do think it's funny how at the beginning of the movie, at the movies, like that house was probably a standard house.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now in California, that's luxury.
That house was
they're-
blown up in one of the movies. Didn't they get attacked in one of the movies?
It's gotten destroyed multiple times. I think.
It's destroyed now as we speak.
It was blown up by a mail bomb in Furious 7, I think. A mail bomb, which is hilarious. Like, it's so funny that someone like handed a bomb in the mail to two characters in this movie. I love it.
Okay, so we're gonna take a short little break, and then we'll be right back for the spoiler part of the review.
Wonderful.
And we're back
We're back.
after that short little break, and now we're gonna be talking about spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you care at all, now's the time to pause, go watch Fast X, and come back and listen to our thoughts.
Go watch Fast X.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we got all the spoilers. The thing that apparently nobody else knew, that this is a 3-parter.
Yeah.
Ayo.
I knew that going in. I didn't think, like, this movie ends with a cliffhanger.
Cliff.
I mean-
Which is like almost too big in my opinion.
It also ends with a Gal Gadot.
What the heck?
She's been in the movie a couple times.
I cannot wait to hear what nonsensical bullshit they come up with to justify
What? Like,
her coming
excuse
back.
me, Han, I just want them to be together.
Oh yeah, they have a thing, don't they?
They have a real thing.
Yeah.
By a
And if
thing,
she-
I'm assuming you mean real love, real deep, abiding love.
If she has been alive, that she better have been in
Well-
a coma.
They're
She's been in that nuclear sub though, doing nuclear
They
sub
have-
stuff. I don't know what you're doing.
Wait,
sub.
She
So-
looked too happy to be held captive.
so wait a second. They have real love because Gal Gadot walked in a bikini trying to seduce somebody else, and Han was like, "I want a piece of that."
Look,
They talked a couple of times too.
you know,
They did that also.
they really
They were in the
cared
same
about
car
each
for a
other,
while.
They were, yeah. They had some smack talk, I guess.
Yeah.
And
some
they mentioned
flirtatious.
something about Han saying he was like lonely or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, well, no. Guys, actually, now that I think about it, they did have a full-blown, like, romantic subplot.
I
At the end of
know.
the, I forgot about this, at the end of the fifth one, because they said
they
that
did.
they were, she was, like, sitting on his lap, and he
Yes.
said, she asked if he wanted to go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then he said, we'll get there eventually, and then all of us knew, oh, yeah, because he's going to die in the next one. AKA the third one. And then not really die, and then come back because nothing matters and nobody dies. And that's all right.
Speaking of, is John Cena dead?
No.
No.
There's not a
Surely
chance in the
not.
world.
Damn.
No body, no death.
After one movie,
Damn.
come on.
Well,
Is
actually,
that the character you were talking about?
no. So the I'm talking about Alan Richson, who
Yeah.
plays General Agency guy. Who if the agency
So-
never showed up in any of these movies ever again, it would be totally fine with me.
So you thought that they were like trying to make you feel like this was like some big heartbreak?
No, I didn't think it was a big heartbreak. It was like there's that big push in. So after he shoots down the plane,
Yeah.
that which again, none of them are dead. But like after he shoots down the plane with that rocket launcher, there's this slow, low angle push in on him as he like moves the viewfinder from the rocket launcher away from his face, and it reveals that it's him. And it's treated as this like, and then we go back and we see, oh, he's been there all along. He's always been a part of this evil plan. And the thing for me was I was like, yeah, he was a bad guy for the first half of the movie. Now he's just a different brand of bad guy. Like, I don't care. Like, it was just one of those moments where I was like, you're giving this far more weight than it really needs to have.
See, I didn't feel like it really had any weight. Like it felt like he was a bad guy.
Sure.
He had 2 minutes on
Yeah.
screen of being a semi-decent guy and
Yeah.
then was a bad guy again. So I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel any weight behind it. I was like, oh, so
And
it was a ploy.
Absolutely.
It did
And
make me
I
think.
agree with you. I think the movie thinks we feel
Gotcha.
differently.
Yeah. Whereas I didn't feel like the movie was trying to get me to feel like
I
there was
gotcha,
more
I
weight
gotcha.
behind it. But I do think that's kind of some weird writing stuff, however, because why was he fighting him the entire time if, you know, all that's a little weird. But
It's all the ploy. It's all the trick.
Yeah, it's
But it
all
doesn't
about
really
it's all
matter.
about suffering, Easton.
Yeah.
It's all about it's like we can justify any nonsense by saying, "Oh, it's all about messing with Dom's head."
yes, which is a good out.
Yeah.
It was a very
works.
easy. Yeah, it was a very easy out because it does deal with the common issue in movies of not finishing off the main character when he's right in front of you. So. So it makes sense that he doesn't, you know. So it's
That's what makes the cliffhanger ending of this movie so funny. It like when the movie ended, I leaned over to Annie and I said, "Will our dastardly villain blow up the dam? Will he escape with his beloved child? What will come of our fast family? Tune in next week."
It is very much that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was so silly. We saw like there were so many bombs on that dam, so he expected that the two trucks were like he knew that Dom was going to drive off the edge of that dam. Those two trucks were going to hit each other. That explosion would not kill him. So that would just be further payoff for him to eventually blow up the dam that would then drown them, maybe. But I don't know.
When this whole moment was happening, the dam does blow.
No.
No,
You see the bombs.
the trucks do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
They explode for 1,000,000 years.
No, yes,
The
I am
cars
aware.
going down the dam.
But when all that setup was happening, I guess it doesn't explode, but you know that it's going to, and a dam of water is about to come at him. I was like, are they really about to just have him like punch water and be able to stop it from?
Yeah.
And I was glad that's not what happened. We'll see what happens, but
No, he's gonna pull the El Camino out of his back pocket.
That was just like
That's how they're gonna
such a
survive.
big cliffhanger that it almost makes me mad.
Yeah.
Like, especially for a movie, like how long do we have to wait for the next one to come out?
2 years.
I think the-
2025.
I think
That's
the only
that's ridiculous. You
The
can't do that to your family.
yeah, come on, Avatar.
Come
Crap.
on. Well,
The only
I
Avatar's-
did feel a little bit cheated out of an ending. I
Cute.
did.
Yeah.
The only
yeah.
reason why I feel like it's a bad cliffhanger is because you know that scene doesn't really have any real stakes.
Yeah,
Because you
they're
know
gonna
he's
live.
going to survive it, and you know
Yeah.
the kid's going to survive it. So, like, it doesn't really feel like a cliffhanger. It's just like, oh, we're just not finishing this exact
Yeah.
story point, but it won't amount to anything.
But you guys, we're missing the biggest point of this whole movie.
Family. Oh.
Dom may have driven the car, but he's not the one that pulled the trigger.
What?
Wait, what?
Dwayne Johnson's back.
Oh,
He's the one that actually killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, The
Come
Rock
on,
is back.
guys. Crap.
Yeah.
I laid that out so nicely.
All of us forgot.
I did.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if I was talking to Easton a little bit about this the other day. It makes me wonder if the publicity of, The Rock and Vin Diesel had this whole back and forth, and The Rock was like, I'm 100% not coming back, and Vin Diesel was like, well, looks like someone's turning their back on family. All I can do is hope that you come back in good faith, or something like that. And so I'm curious how much of that was PR and how much of it was real.
I want to say the reason why I want to say that's real is because there was something that The Rock said in that statement when Vin Diesel mentioned, like, oh, my kids ask about where Uncle Dwayne is.
Mm-hmm.
He The Rock responded with something that felt very authentic. He said, I also think it's a little bit messed up to use your children as a ploy to get me back into your movie franchise, and that felt a little bit
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
a little bit little bit cutting.
I do think it's real, and I think either one of two things happen. One, it was all real, but he decided to come back under a clause that he's not working with Vin Diesel, so they may never share screen time.
That feels right.
You're breaking up the family, man.
And so I think that might be a piece, or we don't see it until the very end. So it's possible that they finally came to a deal later on.
Yeah.
After a lot of production had happened, and so they decide to keep Jason Momoa for another movie. Well, I mean, he would be there anyways, but they decide to have that moment knowing that, okay, now he's also going after The Rock.
Yeah.
And because you don't have to add that, but they did. So, like, it's possible that they finally came to an agreement, or, settled their beef or whatever. Maybe Vin Diesel finally signed the contract to lose a fight. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I would my guess with that mid-credit scene was that it was very much shot after the fact. It feels very, we were already deep into editing, and
we finally got it done.
we finally
Because
got something on paper.
It would definitely make much more sense that Hobbs is in this over Shaw.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it worked
Shaw was
well.
also in this.
That's what I was saying.
And who knows, maybe a we need you more than you need us sort of conversation was enough to get him back.
Maybe.
Feed his ego a little bit.
He has had a rough few years.
Who?
Wait, what?
The
The
Rock?
Rock?
The Rock? I don't think so.
He's been in everything.
Well, none of it's done
he was
well.
in the game plan.
He was in
That
Jumanji
was a
2.
long time
20
ago.
years ago. But
He's been pouring all of himself into Black Adam.
He had that HBO series for a while. He had a sitcom that did really
I know he had
well.
Ballers, but I'm saying, so he had Black Adam that did not do well, San Andreas didn't do well, Rampage didn't do well, Jumanji did well sales-wise. Let's be honest there, but critic-wise, they have not been fantastic.
Sure.
So I thought that's what you meant by you need us more than we need you.
I think that this franchise definitely feels like all of the installments that haven't had Dwayne Johnson have felt like they have kind of a big hole. Like I these last couple of movies, I will say I felt his absence quite a
Gotcha.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like John Cena's addition has been a good way of bridging that gap.
He is fantastic in this one. I feel like we got very mean muggy kind of one note villain from him the last movie, but in this one they gave him a little bit more room to
I'm
be himself. And
specifically talking about this one. So
yeah. And I'm agreeing. I think that he is he's one of the best performances in this movie. I think he's a lot of fun. His dynamic with that kid is fantastic.
Yeah.
I could have almost done less with that. The
Really?
like surrogate father son aspect. I know it's his
Can't
uncle,
believe
but
you.
whatever. But I wanted more of the crew. I feel like I feel like the bits we got of the crew was basically just like Roman and Ludacris fighting, and like there was the fun thing with Pete Davidson, but that's not even really a crew bit. That's a Pete Davidson bit, and then before you know it, we're at the end of the movie and they get shot down out of an airplane.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. So, I said that there were a few characters that I do think have character development. I think, now I can't think of his name. Bald guy.
Roman.
Luda.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that Ludacris is in these movies.
Yeah,
do too.
so do
I
I.
absolutely love it.
I think Roman is somebody that actually does have some character development in this movie, which I
Sure.
thought was good. He
who
had
does the safe
all his
traveling
monies.
of keeping his money up on his money belt around his around his chest.
I think the leadership thing with him was pretty good. I just didn't feel that it was. They always make a joke every now and then, or not always, but they sometimes make a joke in previous movies where Roman will just like assume that he's leading the mission.
Yeah,
and then
it's been a
something like that.
consistent joke since
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
the beginning. Pretty much
Yeah.
since Too Fast, Too Furious when he got added in. I mean,
Yeah.
he's always been kind of the butt end of the joke, but he's always been there. And
Another fun Vin Diesel story. So Tyrese Gibson taking the comic relief role was a suggestion by Vin Diesel after he rejoined the franchise, and the word on the street, the rumor, is that Vin Diesel was pretty sour grapes when Tyrese replaced him in Too Fast, Too Furious. He stepped in as the co-lead of that movie,
Yeah.
and he was not too happy about that, so he made the suggestion that Tyrese Gibson become
some drama
the,
there.
So he
maybe
was
so,
bitter.
maybe so.
Well,
So-
nonetheless, it comes around, and Ludacris gives I think a good line of
Yeah.
you're still you stepped up, and a part of being a leader is taking the entire blame for a whole entire crew's worth of mistakes. So that's where I think there was some character development
I'll agree with you
there.
Yeah.
What, Tristan?
Doesn't Jordana? What's her name? What's in the
Jordana
movie?
Brewster. Oh, I don't something
Why can't I
Toretto.
remember
She's
Mia Toretto.
Mia.
Yeah,
Mia,
she's,
yeah.
Isn't she supposed to be like Dom's twin sister or something like that?
I don't know about twin sister. I think she's the older. I think
thought
it's
she was younger.
What name?
Oh,
Who?
You're right.
Jordana.
Jordana.
Brewster?
Yeah, Jordana Brewster.
I think it's supposed to be the family is Dom, Mia, Jacob. I
Oh.
think is
Okay.
what it is. What are we looking at?
I
What's
just
happening?
so my thing. I was just bringing it up.
looking
Doesn't
for
she
it.
have kids?
She does,
in the
and she
movie?
mentions it.
She
Yeah,
does.
she mentions.
Oh, she does.
She says, "How do you think Brian and the kids feel that I'm here with you?" or something like that when she's babysitting the little one,
Okay, I thought they
Little
lived in
Brian.
that house. Little B.
little B.
Oh, you thought they lived there?
Yeah.
Oh, she did. I think in the earlier movies.
Okay, so
But when
the
she got
idea
married
is
to-
that Brian is with the kids
Yes.
at their house, and she's
Yes.
okay. Okay.
It's a nice scapegoat to get a reason why Paul
Brian's
Walker's
not on screen.
yes.
Yeah.
There are a couple of moments in the last couple of movies since his tragic passing where his absence does not make a lot of sense though.
Yeah.
And they've kind of written themselves. I'm thinking of is it the 8th one? She's not really in the 9th one all that much. But it might be in the 8th one where she's a part of some skirmish, some
Yes.
action set piece, and it gets to the point where I'm like, it doesn't make sense that
So-
he let her, because historically it's always been Brian jumping in to save the day, and she stays back with however
Yeah.
many kids they have. I don't even know, but yeah,
Well, I think that's a situation of like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
yeah, and
You've got an actress that wants to be a part of the franchise. You've got to find a way. And I think they at least explained it well enough that Brian gets out of the business so that he's like, I am fully getting out. At 7, he's like, I'm fully out. I can't get back in because I've got to protect my kids. Because in the 7th movie, I think it's all focused in on his kids, right?
yeah, he's had a kid by that point, and
And they're going after his family.
There's a lot of Jordana Brewster on the phone trying to find out what's going on with the mission.
Yeah. So I think like it at least gives enough like legit backstory to like logistically speaking, would he probably come back in? Probably, but they at least like had a definitive like he did say on screen like I can't come back in. Like I'm out of the game. I have to be blah, blah, blah. Now, it doesn't necessarily make sense the wife is putting herself back in this situation all the time.
That's kind of what I mean, yeah.
But I feel really bad for her. So
now I remember what it was. She shows up to a barbecue in one of the previous movies, and he's not there. She's there with like the baby, I think, and then he's not there.
With the baby.
Yeah, that's the bit
Gotcha.
that I thought didn't make any sense.
Isn't that the one where they're like, "Where's Brian at?" And she's like, "Oh, you know him," or she's like, "Oh, he's on his way," and then his car pulls up into the driveway.
Oh,
I don't remember
yes.
that. I don't remember that.
He's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, I'm wrong then. I don't remember that.
Okay.
Okay, well, my whole reason for bringing her up.
It's all good.
I'm so sorry. I
Is
completely
that-
derailed you. I completely derailed you, Tristan. Sorry.
Well,
There's a lot of movies here, so it's okay
I
to get a little
was
mixed up.
just gonna say that I just feel bad for her because I feel like she doesn't get to be as involved as she probably would like to because of
that
his
situation.
Yeah, of his passing.
Yeah.
So I was just like that kind of. So I'm glad that she got like a good fight scene, and all like she got decent
She got a fight scene?
screen time.
Yeah, it's when the SWAT guy. It's
Oh,
when
yes,
Jacob
yes,
shows
yeah,
up.
yeah.
She kicks a lot of ass in
Yeah.
this movie, more so
Yeah.
than in previous movies.
And I thought it was so funny when the invader or whatever gets like thrown up against the wall and she looks up really
smirks or
surprised and then
smiles
she
or
like
something.
smiles.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is it?
I also think that's a really, I mean, I know we talked about the unpractical nature of these movies, so I would accept it either way. But I do like when movies have this like don't kill capture, because that does lead to the ability to get away much easier. And it, like I said, it doesn't matter for this movie, because if they're all going in to kill him, like they would win anyways, and it wouldn't matter how unbelievable it is, because every fight scene's unbelievable. But I like it when movies do that. Find a way to make it just a little bit more like believable when they're like purposely not killing it. It makes sense that they were able to get away that way, because when you're outgunning somebody, if you're not allowed to shoot them, it equals the playing field. So and John Cena kicked some ass there. It was great. That whole scene was a lot of fun.
He got to do his WWE finishing move to someone through the floor. Which
Yeah, I thought the shotgun through the wall was a really cool little
fun.
piece too.
Yeah.
Shotgun in the wall to open up room so that he could see the people as they walk through. Yeah, I was really confused when he first shot, but
I think the most unbelievable action set piece of this is probably the hitting the crane to get the bomb. Yeah. Yeah. Although
There
then
was
the
like
cars-
a line or something that was
the
like,
cars
how
still-
am I going to get out of this or something?
and the car still being drivable
after
after
it slams into the
slamming
wall
into a
and-
crane, slamming into the wall, and then he can outrun a bomb blast. And I the movie also, I think this is the first time it's done this kind of anti-physics. There's several times throughout this movie that Dom's car is supposed to be lifted off the ground, and he wills it to stay on the ground.
Just
right.
sheer willpower.
Yeah.
because that's how cars work. If you want it to stay on the ground,
It seems
it
like
does.
It seems like the movies believe that if a car is revving its engine, it becomes heavier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all they have to do is push
Yes.
on the gas, and then it starts to sink back to the road.
And to be fair, they do. I mean, they keep to that. Like once he does, he revs, and once it does, his back wheels make contact. That's when he can like
go
control
faster.
it.
Yeah.
What I mean, absolutely, that's not how that works. But
Well, what did we talk about last time with Sisu? That like you can do unbelievable, ridiculous stuff. You just have to be consistent.
Yes.
Like you have to establish this is where the boundaries are, and then you hold to that. And that's something this franchise does exceptionally well. Is they decide this is where our boundaries are, which is pretty much.
I was about to say
there are none.
I was about to say they decide there are no boundaries.
Yeah.
That's just what.
and they
makes
never you know they never blink.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The cannon car.
That was great.
Stupid and great.
So great.
It does not make any sense that he sacrificed himself at the end, though.
No,
I don't.
he didn't have to.
He could have just shot them.
Yeah.
It also doesn't make any sense that Dom didn't just drive to the other side of the road.
Sure. At this point, why can't he get through that?
Why can't he get through a barrier?
Yeah,
He's broken through much worse.
Yeah.
I thought that multiple times, but
If I can go back to something that we talked about before,
No.
which is this franchise cannot decide on what our relationship is to these characters. Like I'm thinking of specifically whenever we mourn a character that has died, and then they will just kind of like willy-nilly bring them back, which is part of the charm. It's part of the, you know, the wink of the franchise. But I saw when Gal Gadot came back, I was like, we mourned you for like 2 whole movies. Like this was a big part of Han's story, was like missing you. And like even when he came back from the dead, he was like mourning her loss, and they were talking about I want to say she was mentioned by name a couple of times, and it's just, you feel the absence of this character, and then for I'm also sure that there's no grand plan. These movies they're making it up as they go, and God bless them, they should. Like I don't want them to have a plan.
I feel like MCU's phase 1 through 6 in here.
I feel like they might have a plan for this last part.
For the last part, maybe.
I mean for, because this is a 3-part to finish it.
Yeah.
This is part 1, 2, 3, and it's according to them done.
Yeah.
So I think they do have a plan, because what I read before this, I didn't know there were actually 3 parts specifically. I just knew that this was a multi-parter.
Sure.
And then I read that it was supposed to be 2 parts. And then I think they, after, you know, writing and talking and discussing, they extended it to 3. So I mean, this is just, you know, articles I read. It could all be BS and, you know, fake.
And I'm sure
articles and
at
stuff.
this point they have a plan. I'm sure that they have a plan for how they want to end things. I am also just 1,000% certain that when they killed Gal Gadot, surely so that she could go be Wonder Woman, they like she definitely campaigned to have herself written out. But like,
yes,
when they killed her, they had no plan of bringing her back.
Yes, I do agree with that. Yeah.
Same with Han. They had no plan of bringing him back. And then when fans reacted negatively to Jason Statham, again, changing our relationship to a character, just being brought into the fold, like he can just come in after he murdered one of our best friends and tried to actively kill all of us across the world. Like, you can come to the barbecue, whatever. Like, and it's great.
That's Charlize Theron too.
Yeah. Now they're trekking across Antarctica, doing something.
They at least do give it justice and some consistency. They both very much hate her.
Yeah.
And they at least do keep that consistent.
Yeah. They had a great fight as well. Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron, I thought was fantastic.
You did want to talk about control
Her
button.
keypad.
That little table. So she, like, all she does is, for those who haven't seen it and that don't care about spoilers, I can't articulate it well other than to say she pulls one wire out of it, and all of a sudden she has control of the entire room. All she does is pull the one little wire out. She controls the air ducts. She controls laughing gas.
She knows exactly how to do it.
And she knows exactly how to do it. She knows how to get rid of the harnesses, and she controls the little laser robot that shoots at the floor at one point.
All knowledge.
Yeah, all
the wire
knowledge.
released
To be fair,
chemicals.
she is around technology. Always.
I just loved that when she pulled that. Yes, that's true. I just love that she pulled that little wire, and then a giant button showed up that said "System Override."
Yeah.
And then she just tapped the screen.
Just
and
like,
that was
yes,
it.
please, without looking.
So good.
That was great. Yeah.
I don't want the thing is, as I'm bringing all of these things up, I don't want to be misinterpreted as like saying these things are problems in like a smarter franchise. I would have problems with these things. In this franchise, these are not problems that need fixing.
Yeah.
This is what I want it to be.
Yeah.
I want to maintain this level of silly.
And a movie that's trying to be serious, these would be problems.
Yeah.
Right.
But this movie's not trying
But
to be.
it's not.
No,
And
it's not trying to be serious at all.
And ironically, going back to the confidence thing, that's why everyone in this movie has to take it deadly seriously.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, if they blink for 1 second,
I would love to see
and
bloopers
do like
of this.
do like any apologies or whatever. You know how like every now and then an MCU movie will be like, like this guy's got octopus arms. Like, you know what I mean? Like every now and then they'll do something like that, and you kind of go like, oh well, just do the thing. Like if you're gonna do the thing, then do the thing. Fast and Furious just doesn't have that impulse. They're just like, we would never apologize for swinging across a canyon. You know,
They're
like Tarzan
unapologetic.
with a car. Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. In a wonderful way.
I don't know about wonderful.
I love these movies.
So do I.
Yeah.
It almost makes me mad. I'm going back to Gal Gadot. I'm sorry. It almost makes me mad how she came back, because she just pops out of this little thing with a little cheeky smile. I'm waiting for you guys. I've been in live this whole time. Ha ha ha.
We've got 2 years to figure this out.
Yeah. I'm like, you ruined Han. How dare you just come back with your little smirk on your face like everything's fine.
So the question is, do you guys think this submarine pops out of the dam and saves?
Oh, maybe. Who knows? Honestly, I'm not confident enough to say no. Like, I don't
think that's what's happening. However, that's where
I mean, maybe.
That's a thought that I had.
They'll pick it up with one of their magnet planes.
I thought this movie was going to be a little bit longer than it was. So I was expecting, I wasn't expecting the cliffhanger because I thought I had another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what just hit me? I bet the crew on the plane
didn't actually die.
Well, obviously. But yeah, and then they jammed the signal to the bombs, and I don't think the dam's going to blow at all.
Oh, sure. All that they need to do is put a laptop in front of Ludacris or what's her
not
name?
Ludacris, yeah,
Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Ludacris.
She's dope.
She's working some
She's
outfits
great.
in this, man.
I know. She's
like
stylish. She's
for
cool.
real.
Ludacris has one of the funniest journeys to me, like
He's
across
just a
this
simp.
franchise, where he like in Too Fast, Too Furious, he's a mechanic.
Yeah.
He's just a mechanic.
With his afro.
Like nothing more, nothing less. And then in like with that huge afro. And then like in the I think it's in the 5th one when he comes back. And they justify everything he knows how to do with technology by saying, I've had a life before, you guys knew me. I had a life before you knew me. That's how he knows everything about safes and computers and, technology. And then he became the tech guy. Like I really think that they were like, we need a tech guy for our heist movie. So, but we got to bring everybody back. So let's just, I don't know. He knows how to do this.
And maybe they thought Ludacris had a good fan reaction.
Oh yeah, sure. I just love that they completely ignore that there isn't even a whiff of I'm great with technology in the second one.
Yeah.
He's just a mechanic that waves the flag at races. That's it.
That's one thing actually that they so far haven't brought back is the original mechanic that died in, was it 1 or 4?
I don't know.
It's the original mechanic that loses his pink slip in that first race. All the way back in the first movie.
I don't remember.
Okay. He was a really cool character. He was Dom's mechanic. He was
Right
like
on.
the mechanic.
This is an angry brother that comes back in the 5th one, is it? Okay.
No. It's scrawny little.
Oh, the skinny guy.
Yeah.
Real skinny guy always wearing a big hat.
He was
Yeah.
he's the guy that, this was back in 2001 when the first movie was. He was showing everyone that you could use you could use computers to optimize your cars.
Uh-huh.
So he was the one that was so he was the tech guy.
There you go.
And they haven't brought him back because he died in he I can't remember how he died, but he was the original death that flung these guys into being
honestly,
who they are.
I wouldn't put it past the franchise to bring him back.
Well,
Is it
Jesse,
who I'm thinking of? Yes.
it hasn't happened yet.
I also remember him from a great baseball movie called The Rookie.
Oh, I love The Rookie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
I totally
Such a
forgot
good dad
about
movie.
him.
Is
I
that
would
with
like
Dennis
for him to
Quaid?
come back
Huh?
from the
Is
dead.
that with Dennis Quaid?
Yes.
Kevin-
Yeah.
That was Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner is Bull Durham and For the Love of the Game.
I thought he was
Dennis
also.
Dennis Quaid's got The Rookie.
For some reason, I thought he was in all 3 of those. Okay.
Dennis Quaid's got or not Dennis Quaid. Kevin Costner's got a few baseball movies because he also has Field of Dreams.
Yeah, he does have Field of Dreams.
He's in a bunch. Good for you, Kevin Costner.
You are right. Yes, I was thinking the face I was putting on The Rookie was Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
But I do love The Rookie.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. I had something before I thought. We were talking earlier about times where the Twitter trend of times where people thought they lost.
Uh-huh.
Oh, when did you check out of a movie?
It's like when
Wasn't it
did Logic
yeah.
and whatever.
When did the illogic of like Fast and Furious lose you? Like,
Yes.
What was
Yeah.
the? What was
And
the
we were
moment?
talking about Ludacris, and one of the other popular tweets was when Ludacris just beat the crap out of like a Navy SEAL guy to defend Ramsey. So I thought I might add that in there.
There's also another classic one is when Jordana Brewster, pregnant, runs and jumps across like rooftops through Rio when they're being chased by the Rock.
No, she
she's
did
like
that, man.
She's like barrel rolling and like doing all this crazy stuff. And then the funniest part is that they button the scene with her telling Vin Diesel that that she's pregnant. And again, another drop in the Vin Diesel is a narcissist bucket. That whole scene becomes about him learning that she's pregnant. Like, it's not about her being pregnant. The whole thing is about him like hugging them, and he gets the final close up at the end of that scene. And anyway,
Yeah.
A
So
single tear drips from his face.
a character that added in this movie that I very much like because it's kind of connected with another character is the Brazil sister.
Oh yeah.
I very much like that character.
She's great.
from okay, the blonde from the I guess it was 5.
Oh, the character. So the character that we meet in this one, her sister.
Yes.
from the
The
previous
officer?
movies.
Yeah, but the officer I think was in 5, and then she was also in. She also came back in a few others.
She came back in 8
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Little Brian is her son.
Yeah.
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 And so I very much like that character.
Yeah.
I don't know why, just very much liked it. And the fact that they were able to bring it back in with the sister, and I thought she did a great job. And I liked that new addition of a character, and I assume she's going to be in the rest. And that was a character that I very much enjoyed that they added in here.
Another Suicide Squad connection.
Yeah.
because she was Rat
She was
Catcher.
rat. Yep.
Yeah. This is a potentially inappropriate question.
Nah, it's
Why
good.
is little Brian? Why does he have like such curly hair and his skin is so dark?
Yeah. I was
He looks
wondering that
nothing
too.
like either one of his parents. Like not even a little bit.
Because she's Hispanic, isn't she?
I think she was. You know what? You know what? I'm treading into waters that I know nothing about.
We're on thin
Yep.
ice
No,
here.
no.
people.
I was like, because
I
I think
mean-
she might be Portuguese potentially.
Oh yeah.
Potentially.
Well, her
Probably.
sister is more dark skinned. So there's obviously
Maybe
That's fair.
and they're obviously Brazilian. They live in Brazil, so they have Brazilian connections, and so I think it's just kind of like a tie of Brazilian roots. And Vin Diesel he's not just white.
He's Italian.
You think that?
Toretto. Right?
That's
Yeah.
fair.
So the thing is, you can't like Dominic Toretto is the most ethnically ambiguous like action
Because
lead
I
ever.
kind of think
because
he's Puerto Rican.
every culture he steps into, whether it's Cuba in the 8th one, Brazil
They all-
in this one, like Roman Fast X, everywhere he goes, he always approaches it with this energy of like, my people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm finally home, and I have
Well-
so many roots here, and
Well, and even
everybody
in this
knows
one,
me.
they do
and-
that again when he's at the street race.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, finally I'm home with my people. And he does that everywhere he goes.
He seems to have an extra connection to Rio.
Yeah, I guess because we've gone back so many times.
So I feel like he has some family roots there. But there's also like it's also when he says like my people, that's not an ethnic thing. That's like
Yeah. I just think that it's like a confusing thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because he's saying like these are my people because they're racers.
Yeah.
These are underground people that live a quarter mile at a time.
The funniest part is that they all love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Everyone
and,
loves
and even
him.
when he goes to Japan and Tokyo Drift, they all love him there too.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah,
so
they're like our giant savior. Can we also talk about the fact that last thought, and then I will turn it back over to Tristen. I'm sorry, but they bury Han. I mean,
Sure.
I guess not. In L.A. He's not from L.A. Like they have the funeral for him in Furious 7
Yeah.
in Los Angeles. Like that's like halfway around the world from where he's actually from.
The only thing I can think of is they never really show a huge family tie for Han in Tokyo.
His family is in Los Angeles.
Yeah, his real family. I'm just picturing him like going to Tokyo and bringing the body home.
Yeah.
and
But that's
potentially taking it away from some poor
Yeah.
family.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Is that like because he does have that small little group that trains DK. Like they seem to be a tight little group, but he also has a lot of enemies.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Jason
Tokyo
Statham.
Drift Tokyo Drift is just a fun film because it's just everyone is out to get you.
Yeah,
There's a lot of Japanese gangsters.
it's so great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tristen. I interrupted you.
No,
Go ahead.
nope. I don't know what
We're
I
all
was saying.
just shooting stuff.
Yeah.
So shooting things around.
Yeah.
The only thing apart from the car jumping that much, we've kind of talked recently. I'm on this like I don't know what's good with computer graphics anymore, but there's a shot where Letty is on her motorbike and she has to slam on her brakes and then like hop over it. It looks real bad.
That
I think that's a practical stunt, isn't it?
I didn't think I
thought it
I
was
have no
real.
idea. I didn't think that was the worst part.
See, and like with that,
That-
like if it was practical, and I'm just an idiot. See, like I go right.
Yeah.
back
also
to
don't-
it.
I also
Then
don't- I also
what's
don't
real
know.
and what's not.
Trevor stated this multiple times. He's like, I can't tell what's good and bad CGI or what's real practical good and practically bad. He's like,
I
And
hear
there's
there.
no-
this
there's-
is bad CGI. It's like, oh no, that was a practical effect. But the problem with practical effects now is that they're infused with CGI.
Yeah.
So that may be a practical stunt, but then they just throw CGI in it to add more elements to it, and then it loses its practicality.
Yeah, it loses the effect. For
Yeah.
sure.
But that Rome chase scene had a lot of really rough CGI
It did.
scenes.
The car rolling down
Down the stairs was
with,
really bad.
That was pretty bad. And I understand why they had to do it because clearly, just looking at logistically, I was like, okay, everything in the frame that is CG is basically the only dangerous parts of this stunt. It's the flaming bomb, it's the car, everything, the like cracking rubble. So my guess is they were like, okay, well, you can have this location for this amount of time, but you can't break anything.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, well, then we'll just like shoot people
Running around,
down
yeah.
the stairs, and we'll add everything in post, and it does look pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. And I do think it's consistent though. Like, I don't want to say consistent, but if you've watched the original 4 recently, they do a lot. They tried cutting edge CGI back in the original 4, and like it looks pretty rough, but like back then it was cool because it was new.
For sure.
Like they do a lot of engine stuff.
A lot of like people pushing the NOS button
Yes.
on their
And you
their
see the
steering
NOS
and
going through the whole thing.
and like
in the early
streaks of light.
Yeah, the early CGI, because that's all CGI. You're not putting a camera through an engine.
What?
Hate to break it to you. So and a lot of those in the early ones, like it looks rough, but it still looks cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between doing something that like is going to be like this has to be CGI versus something like this is a real car. Like it's not a real car, but like you could have a real car doing this.
Yeah.
That
And
kinda
then
puts
the
you off.
things that they do practically are really impressive. I think that just about every crash in this entire movie is practical.
Really?
I would be
So,
be surprised
Before you go
if-
too off on that,
Yeah.
I was just looking up on my phone some stuff. Apparently, this is the most computer graphically enhanced
Really?
out of the entire franchise.
That's so surprising. Wow.
But
the only reason why I think that a lot of these crashes weren't practical is because of how minimal the damage was.
There's a few that definitely, I think pretty much every crash in Rome is computer generated because
It's Roman.
From the sounds of it, they were not allowed to do much in the city.
I still think they should have been able to bomb the Vatican, but that's just me. So, Trevor, what were you saying there?
Oh, no, it looked like maybe it's not. Maybe it's like just from the couple things I read just now. It looks like in the past they've used like maybe as much, but they cut away with like a lot of, like cutting to the inside of the car. So like you get breaks from it, but in this one it seems like it's just a lot of
Interesting.
just larger segments of computer graphics.
And not
now.
all of it looked bad. It was just there were some very rough.
Well, and
parts.
to your point, they the CG stuff that's oftentimes in these movies is used to enhance practical things, like for the a stunt that we talked about a little bit earlier, potentially off mic, I don't remember, but the scene in Dubai in Furious 7
Yes.
where they're driving between buildings, they built 2 full-scale skyscrapers, not full scale,
Yes.
but scale appropriate skyscrapers, and then they surrounded them essentially by green material, and then drove a car through the side of the window of one building and into the other. But they took that element and then essentially pinched it into an entirely CG shot, and then you lose the effect of it a little bit. Same goes for when they dropped the cars out of the plane in Furious 7, when all those cars coming out of the building in Fate of the Furious, the robot car scene, which is so great. All the cars driving out of the building, that was all real. But you do lose the thread a little bit after a certain point. Yeah,
because you're using a practical thing, but then you're throwing that practical effect in a green. So like you create a huge green screen, you create that practical effect, and then you put that practical effect in the environment so it looks off-putting to the environment because it's not actually in that environment. So yeah.
I think we can all agree, though, the worst visual effect in this entire movie was that entirely computer-generated room that the two least important characters in this entire movie were standing in, Brie Larson and Alan Ritchson, when they were basically doing like a rundown of like footage of scenes from the movie that there couldn't have been a camera around for. Yeah.
Oh, that's a film critic / film Twitter like huge beef with movies.
Come on.
No, not just this movie.
No. I'm films, not to you, to them.
Yeah, of movies that they'll have pictures of like an event that happened in a movie through the film screen.
Yeah.
But there's no nobody would have taken that picture.
Yeah,
so how do they have a picture of that thing? And I did think that when they were going to Jason Momoa's different areas.
Oh, yeah.
And you just see pictures of all the, and it's like, how does he have a picture of this thing? They were literally on top of a mountain, just the two of them, like.
There's one point when
and Vin Diesel's house is the same way. His garage,
the pictures. That's exactly what I was going to say. There's another great moment where Alan Ritchson, who is the big beefy agency guy, he shows footage at one point of the nuclear sub that broke through the ice in Fate of the Furious, and I'm like, that was in Antarctica.
Yeah,
that was like the most remote area on the planet. But still.
Yeah. His name is Agent Ames.
I will never remember that. I
well, you better. He's here for 2 more.
I only remember Alan Ritchson's name, fun fact, because he was Raphael in the Ninja Turtle movies.
Oh, yeah.
The 2014, 2016, 17-ish ones. Yeah.
I don't know how I know him. I knew his face right away.
Reacher, maybe? He's got that big Amazon show. The Jack
I have
Reacher
not watched
show.
Reacher. No.
I've never watched it, but I've seen his face. I've seen his face all over the place.
I've seen TikTok videos of Reacher.
There you go. Yeah,
and so the face is familiar.
Dude's a hunk. Good for him.
Yes, he is. Okay, I think we should wrap up here pretty soon. But we've talked about this movie for an hour and 25-ish minutes, and we have not really talked about Jason Momoa or his character.
We have not.
Yep. And I seem to be, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I seem to be the outlier. And I don't know if it's necessarily that Jason Momoa did a bad job. I just don't like the character.
Gotcha.
It just feels like a long bit. And it's not, this is a movie that has comedy. Like, people throw jokes, but they throw jokes like this movie has historically been. Characters like joke and riff with each other. Like, that's its comedy. It doesn't have long-standing character. Like, characters are a bit. Characters are an exaggeration of what I mean. They do have exaggeration. Like, Dom is an exaggeration of a whatever, but not a comedic way. And so that just felt very off to the rest of it just felt tonally off.
I could see
the tone did not fit the rest of not only this movie, but the entirety of Fast and Furious. His just in and out of, these just jokes. I do think that they had a line that said that he got hit in the head. and it did something to him, and that's why he's psychopathic or whatever.
Well, and they say
Yeah.
he's been in and out of mental institutions. as
Yeah.
well.
He was in the
And so I did like the line that said that he got hit in the head, like after he got hit off the thing, his skull cracked and
yeah.
it hit his brain or whatever. So I was like, that at least does give me some justification. However, it was a lot. He was a lot to deal with on screen.
After a certain point, I would definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
There was one scene, I'll agree with you where he doesn't feel tonally correct, but I'll agree with you only in this one scene.
Sure.
Where he's got the dead guys and he's got their eyes propped
Yeah.
open and he's
Oh, that was
talking to them.
nasty.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that was great.
No, it was
No,
it
and
was
that- it's-
funny.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the purpose of it is to show us, no, he's certifiable.
Sure.
Like he is having lunch with these dead guys. But I think in terms of tone, after we saw that scene, I was like, it just felt off from everything else.
And I
that
guess
we've seen
to
so
your
far.
point, they kind of, if that's the point of that scene, then to Easton's point, they kind of make that point over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Where it feels less like we need to keep this character consistent and more like let's just keep beating the same drum.
I think another piece of it was like they constantly like they make him certifiably insane, right? And they also connect him to being flamboyant.
I tell you what, though, his fashion sense is impeccable.
Impeccable.
Sure,
Best costumes in the whole
Best
movie.
costumes.
But
I just
think
didn't like that.
I think the sort of queer coded villain thing is played out. I'll grant you that. And I think that they tried to do their best to make him like sexually ambiguous, but it was clear that this was like someone in the writer's room said, I want this like old kind of, this villain we used to see that was like, intimate and weird. And what they didn't realize was that was just a homophobic character from like previous movies.
Yeah.
I personally felt that they did enough to steer clear of that I personally didn't dislike.
Gotcha.
That,
But yeah, that was just when I was watching it. Those are the things that was crossing my mind. It's like, okay, so this guy is like he's definitely insane, and like they just have such a over the top, flamboyant nature to him with his costumes, how he acts, and the painting of the nails. And they do the point where like obviously he's not just flamboyant; he's psychotic because he's painting dead people's nails.
Sure,
but like it just felt just like a weird direction and a weird tonal shift to what our villains usually are. Most of the villains in Fast and Furious are hard ass. Either, I mean, you have your big beefy guys that are like, we're gonna have a fight, like we're gonna fight, and he is a big beefy guy. You could have that. It didn't happen yet. Probably will. Let's be honest. Or you have like the I own everyone woman.
yeah.
Or Shireen Therese thing. Where,
That was generally their go-to in the earlier movies was just this sort of I own everyone sort of play. Yeah.
And so I think that's why I don't know if it was Jason Momoa himself. I think it was more of a writing decision that I didn't like.
I got you.
And so it just made me off on his whole performance because I just didn't like the character in the film that we had. But
in terms of making him scary, I don't know that they ever quite hit the same peak again as they did when he was first introduced coming out of that elevator when he was dragging the two guys behind him. I thought that shot was great, and I thought that as an idea, it worked really well. There was I have to believe it was an improv on his part, but when he licks the knife really quickly after he kills that one guy, I thought that was that was like a scary little touch. And for as many writing problems as the character might have, Jason Momoa is clearly having the time of his life playing this character.
Yeah.
He's never like I've never seen him. He's always kind of, charismatic tough guy in most things, but he's never quite been let off the leash in the same way he is in this one.
I do think Jason Momoa's character, or not his character, but how the villain intertwines himself throughout the story is another piece of rough writing that's not as bad as the rest. Because it is just Jason Momoa knew this was going to happen, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
At any moment, it was all planned this way. Why? I mean, because usually you if somebody had something planned a certain way, you find a way to intertwine that throughout the story and the writing that like, oh, that does make sense that he knew this because he had this
Sure.
information here and here and here. It's crazy that he was able to put it all together and make it all plan out well, but it makes sense. This was just, he's here, he's there.
Yeah.
He knows this is going to happen. He knows Dom's going to be on the bridge with the car and with his kid. He stole the kid and then knew that the kid was going to get stolen back by Dom and be, so like that. Like, it's just like, again, it's Fast and Furious. It's going to be ridiculous. That was just another pile on.
Yeah.
I think that
There's one.
was a little rough.
There's really only one bit with his character that I personally just didn't buy, which is the moment that he's physically fighting Dom on the bridge
And gets his ass kicked.
And he just, there was part of me that was like, I kind of want. This isn't the kind of character that is an intellectual foil to the characters. He's a physical one, and I think that they, on paper, if you want to make him both. All right, that's something we've never seen before. That's fair enough. But I don't know. I was disappointed to see how quickly he got his ass kicked. I thought that was a little bit a little bit boring.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that he knew he had an out. Again, doesn't make sense that he knew that he had the out, because why would you bring all the people to shoot everyone if you were just going to have choppers come over?
And he's also, I guess, to sell the bit, he was all right with his partner in crime shooting a bunch of the people he's like paying and has hired.
But I guess if he was just kind of like trying to let Dom feel like he had the upper hand and like he had won, he was going to let him beat him up, and then just to take that power away from him instantly.
Yeah.
Can I chime in?
Maybe so.
No,
I think we're thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
No!
And that's kind of the point that I was making earlier, in that I'm 1000% sure these are not things that they thought about. Like, this is they came up with an easy elevator pitch workaround for a lot of this stuff, and then they were like, that's all we need. That's pretty much it. There is no grand plan, and I don't want there to be one.
No. We may be thinking about them too much, but that's our job.
It's fun.
We don't get paid for this job, but it is our job. But anyway, so that's that. I just wanted us to chat about Jason Momoa because he is our main villain, and we didn't talk about him at all. But there's a lot of things happening in this movie.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to chime in before we get to ratings and get on out of here? Perfect. Let's get our ratings in.
3.
That's about where I'm at. I give this one a 3.
5.
Oh my god. Whew.
Wait, does somebody have this as their?
You.
I'm not gonna do that. I'll say 4.
Okay.
No, you said earlier you give all of them 5, so
That's not fair. That's not fair.
How do you objectively find this as great
I
as
wish
all
there
of the
were
other
different
ones?
things in this movie.
Yeah. Is this your favorite Fast and Furious movie?
No, absolutely not.
Is it your top 5?
I don't know.
We
I
need
can't
a
remember that.
we
like
need
you
a
guys.
Tristan Fast and Furious ranking right now.
I'll work on it.
Okay. I think I'm at a 3. I think the beginning of this I was thinking below a 3, but then it got me in the second half.
You know who we didn't talk about? And we don't have to talk about this. I just want to make sure that her name is on record.
Sure.
The great Rita Moreno shows up as Dominic's grandmother,
I
who,
think
by the
it's
way,
his
is
mom.
only 30 years older than him. But I just, God bless Rita Moreno, American
And
legend and
she's-
American treasure.
And she's going to be a bigger part in the second movie.
I hope she comes tearing down the Great Wall of China in a souped up muscle car.
Yeah, because Jason Statham comes in, he leaves to go save her.
Yeah.
So he'll definitely.
No. Helen Mirren is who you're thinking of.
Oh.
Rita Moreno
Statham's mom.
is the
one at the-
Toretto's grandmother. She shows up
Oh,
at the barbecue at the very beginning.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Some folks may be familiar with her from West Side Story, the recent Spielberg one, and Into the Heights.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Trevor would have been all over that, but he decided to go pee. So, okay. Well, you got all of our ratings. Most of us are in the 3. Tristan's in the 4, which totally makes sense.
Sure.
Maybe a 5. She might. We'll see what her letterbox review comes out as. But thank you guys so much for listening. Next week, it's kind of up in the air. I feel obligated to do The Little Mermaid because it's probably the biggest movie coming out next week. However, The Machine is coming out next week.
Heyo.
And I also feel loyalty to Bert Kreischer. So we'll see what happens. So stay tuned for next week. We'll be doing one or both of those. We might just do a quick rundown of each. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on.
Thank you so much
again
for having me.
For Fast X. Thank you guys, and have a good one.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
What an idiot!
Well, what do you expect? I'm the movie moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense. No, none taken.